Needless Things Podcast. Hey, Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest episode of the Needless Things Podcast, where we talk about toys, movies, music, and all manner of pop culture dorkery. I am your host, Dave, and this is the second time I've recorded this intro. I don't know exactly what happened before. I had a lot of trouble with the microphone the first time around, and I just remembered just now, as I'm talking, that my computer updated the last time I used it, like it did the update and shutdown thing. And I think that's what jacked everything up, because the first time through I had to restart a couple of times because it wasn't using the right microphone, and it took me a while to realize that, because often my microphone levels get messed up anyway. And then it looked like it was recording everything at the right levels, but then when I went to listen back, somehow I think it was taking the sound from this microphone and from my webcam microphone. I don't know what was going on, but it sounded horrible. And I recorded like 10 minutes of intro, and it sounded like shit, and I couldn't use it. Well, it sounded like I was in a room with a big fan, which, if there was a microphone just in the middle of the room recording, that's what it would sound like. But I have a microphone on a headset, and now I am going to stop. No time will pass for you. I'm going to stop and listen to what I've recorded so far to make sure it doesn't sound like shit. Success! It does not sound like shit. Or at least it doesn't sound like I am in a room next to a giant fan. Alright, so this day is not going great. I got home from work. I crashed immediately because work is just absolutely destroying me lately. Got up, brushed the old toofies because I get the funk while I sleep. So I had to brush the teeth, grab some water, grab some Diet Coke because I need my caffeine fix to do this. And told the family I'll be right back. I got to record the intro for tomorrow's podcast. Well, I've got to put the whole thing together. I'm trying to remember now what I talked about the first time I recorded this. I know for a fact I mentioned the Needless Things YouTube channel, which you should like, subscribe, and share to. No, don't share to it. Like it, subscribe to it, and share it with your friends. Toy reviews, of course, episodes of the podcast. If you're listening to the Needless Things podcast on the Needless Things YouTube channel, well, thank you for that. But the big thing over there are the toy reviews and other sort of little feature things like that I do. This week, on Monday, I reviewed Jazzware's AEW barbed wire accessory set, which ended up being a whole lot of fun. I got it just because it's such a crazy thing to be part of a toy line in 2021. I love that they made it, so go check that out. Fun little review. And then on Wednesday, I reviewed Hasbro's new Kenner Ecto-1, which is a reproduction of the old Real Ghostbusters Ecto-1, and it's awesome, and I'm looking at that little collection, the 4 Ghostbusters, the 4 Ghosts, and the Ecto-1 that have come out so far. I'm looking at that on my little display, like I set them up together to take a picture. I'm so happy with this little collection. I love it. I never had that Ecto-1 when I was a kid. I think if you're a Ghostbusters fan, I think you gotta have it. So if you see that thing, don't go to Walmart.com and pay some third-party jerk $190, or Walmart's inflated pricing system, however that works, $180, whatever. Don't do that. I think they're probably going to show up in stores. It was like $30, and well worth it. It's a steal for $30. But the box is relatively compact, so I think they're going to be able to load shelves up with them for the holidays. I think that's likely what's going to happen. Grab one. You will not be disappointed. It's having this Ecto-1 on your shelf is fantastic. All right. I know I talked about more the first time around. I probably just complained about work more and explained how sleepy I am right now more. But that gets edited out now because we're here to get this intro done before not a needless commentary. There will not be one of those this month. just because getting together, we got so much going on. A lot of us are being killed by work. Some of us are going on vacations like 3 times a month. Just lots of things happening to where we couldn't all get together physically. So we'll be back next month with our Escape from LA Needless Commentary. This month, because of the date, we are bringing you 13 Things We Love About Friday the 13th. So for some reason, I sang that the first time I recorded that. I don't know why. So I felt like I had to do it again this time because it's funny and stupid. So that's what the episode is this week. But before we get to 13 Things That We Love About Friday the 13th, we've got some news. So I've got a couple of notes here, but when I pulled up Toy Arc for reference, the first thing I see is this Storm Collectibles Tekken 7 King action figure, which looks absolutely amazing. So if you want to see this thing, go to Toy Arc and check that out. I can't say I hate fighting games because I have enjoyed them from time to time. Excuse me, and I do believe I've enjoyed Tekken. But this figure is incredible. This thing's blowing my mind. I love it. I'm not going to get it, but I love it. All right, so moving on. Let me get my notes up here. I want to talk about TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimates Series 3 are on the way. They're shipping out from Super 7 now, and of course some people already have them, and that's awesome for those people. I'm really glad for you, because I'm sure you've also been running a toy-oriented pop culture enterprise for over a decade now. Anyway, mine are on the way. I'll be reviewing them on the Needless Things YouTube channel. I will have a full 4 days at some point. Well, I guess it won't be next week because they don't get here till next Wednesday. So the week after that. So I guess, what is that, the last week of August probably. You'll get 4 new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures reviews. I'm very excited. I love the Ultimates. I love Super 7. So those are on the way. Roadblock, the Milky Way Roadblock, I can't remember his actual name. It's the 4th version of Roadblock in the G.I. Joe Classified series. It was an Amazon exclusive, and that is here. Apparently some people are getting shipping delays on that. I just say, if you got an order in, just hang tight. I know it really stinks to see other people getting something before you do, kind of like me with the TMNT Ultimates. But if you got your order in, just be happy that you did, because I know some people somehow missed it, even though it was, in my opinion, available for a pretty good chunk of time. But mine is here. I will be reviewing that next week on the Needless Things YouTube channel. In actual, announcement type news, hang on just a second. I'm scrolling. Superman is rolling. Mezco 112 Collective Superman Man of Steel Edition revealed. We first saw this, I want to say, around the time when Toy Fair would have been. They revealed it, and holy cow, you guys. So around that time, I sold... So, and I know I say never sell toys. Never ever, ever sell toys. But sometimes there are toys that are worth a lot of money that you really won't miss that much. I sold some of my 112 Collective figures, and I got to tell you right now, I'm looking at that shelf. One, there's actually space on it for a couple more figures now. I still am going to have to make room at some point. But I do not miss the ones I sold one little tiny bit. They were I sold the older comic book Superman figure, and I want to say I got $280 for it. And now this one is coming out that is far, far, far superior. It includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 heads. Black Mercy, the Phantom Zone projector, the little, what is this? The bullet ricochets the old one came with, all the different kinds of kryptonite. The figure looks incredible, very traditional looking Superman costume. This is the Superman. This thing is amazing. So Mezco announced this. It is currently still available for pre-order. This is not one of their exclusives. This is available from like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, or wherever. This is a must-have. You got to get it, which is really tough because there's a lot of stuff I feel like I got to get right now, and there's too much. My toy budget is literally not covering everything that I want to get right now, and I'm having to make some tough choices. And as of now, I have not yet ordered this Superman as much as I want it, because I've got a couple of 112s on the way, and then just everything else that went up for pre-order. I want that WWF New Generation ring from Mattel, and I think I'm going to have to skip it. I think I'm going to have to. So, yeah, that's what's up there. Retro Fantastic Four, Marvel Legends. We kind of knew they were coming. They showed a Johnny Storm a while ago, and now the pre-orders are live. They're happening. They're real, and thing looks amazing. Human Torch, they got two different versions. They have got a Flame On version that is just basically a different colored version of the one, the Walgreens exclusive one. And then we finally have a depowered or Flame Off, whatever, Johnny Storm that looks awesome, because what I've got is, I think I put a Captain America head, because the old MCU Captain America heads barely even, well, they don't look like what's his face, Chris Evans, at all. So I just stuck an MCU Cap head on an extra Reed Richards body to get a Johnny Storm to go with my Walgreens Fantastic Four, because I feel like you have to have both. You have to have a regular Johnny and a Flame On Johnny. But they're doing it here because the Hasbro Pulse exclusive unpowered, unflamed Johnny Storm is available, as well as the mainline release Sue, Invisible Woman, and then the Pulse exclusive transparent Invisible Woman, which looks really good. I'm not totally sold on the face sculpt on this one, because they're identical figures, just one is clear and one has paint. I get what they're going for. They're going for the classic Fantastic Four look, but I don't know. She looks a little weird, but maybe in person she won't. And I don't totally love the Reed sculpt either, but I love what they did with the figure. He is, hang on, let me do a little click here so I can see the details. He comes with a lab coat and interchangeable arms, so you can have him with his lab coat or just in his uniform, his Fantastic Four uniform, which I think is awesome. He has regular uniform arms with hands with stretchy fingers, which I think is horrifying. For some reason, this disturbs me deeply, his very, very long fingers. But this is a great read. But again, the head on this one, it's good. Never mind. I just clicked on it and looked at it again. Initially, I didn't love it, but I'm looking at it now. It's good. It's a really good read head. So those are coming. These are classic, beautiful Fantastic Four figures on the old Toy Biz style packaging. They're also doing Psycho Man, which looks amazing. I don't really know anything about Psycho Man at all, other than I'm looking at him and he looks like a Kirby character, 1,000%. And then the High Evolutionary, which I know from X-Men comics mostly, so I'm very excited about that one. And then they also showed an X-Force 3-pack with a great-looking Richter, a cannonball with legs and the blasting effect, and Domino in her very, very 90s X-Force look. But Domino and Cannonball both have just hideous pins in their knees. I'm not a fan of that, but I want that Richter really bad. And I mean, otherwise, Cannonball and Domino look great, but those pins are just awful. All right, what else we got? Oh, okay, so my final bit of news is CM Punk and Bryan Danielson heavily rumored to be showing up in AEW, potentially tomorrow night. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I believe they'll show up. I don't know if I believe the rumors. I don't know what they're going to do if they do show up. Part of me still feels like if Punk is going to come back, it's going to be for WWE money. But at the same time, showing up at AEW has that thumbing his nose thing that I know he would love so much, and the creative freedom of AEW. Because look, what if they bring CM Punk back and then treat him like Jeff Hardy in WWE? It's ridiculous. I mean, I know he wouldn't come back for a contract that would even allow that, but just think about that. Think about basically, and I hate to say this because I try to be positive, and I will always, have a soft spot for WWE. Think about how much WWE sucks right now. Not the talent. The talent's phenomenal, and there are great things happening. Big E is Mr. Money in the Bank, and I think that's wonderful. There is good stuff in WWE right now, but I watched Raw in under an hour this week. And I haven't been watching it. I just decided I had some free time, and I was like, I'll throw Raw on because I'm tired, and we'll see how it goes. And I managed to get the whole thing in under an hour. That's pathetic. And I don't even want CM Punk showing up there. But at the same time, AEW seems kind of bloated. So I don't know, you guys. But anyway, that's enough. That's the news. It's time to get back on over, wrap up this intro, and talk about Friday the 13th. I think I said tomorrow night Punk might show up, but for you guys, it is Friday the 13th. AEW Rampage is tonight, so tonight could potentially be the night that Punk shows up, right? Because it's in Chicago tonight, isn't it? Or is that next week? I don't even know, you guys. I'm tired. It is time to move on. Real quick, I just want to mention the Suicide Squad is fantastic. If you haven't watched it, watch it. I don't know that I can recommend going to a movie theater right now. Things are a little nuts, but it's on HBO Max. Just sign up for HBO Max and watch it. Because there's tons of other great stuff on there, too. Because after we watched The Suicide Squad, we finished the Harley Quinn animated series, or what's out now. There is a third season coming. It's been confirmed. And I still think that's the best version of the DC Universe. Even though it features things that I generally don't necessarily want in my comic book adaptations, it is its own thing. So the profanity and the filth and whatever else, it's just hilarious. So yeah, just sign up for HBO Max for a little while and watch those things. And then also, speaking of streaming services, Disney Plus's What If, which is an animated companion piece to the Marvel Cinematic Universe that presents if characters made choices that altered their stories, their realities. Hosted by Jeffrey Wright, basically being Rod Serling from The Twilight Zone, which I love. He is the Watcher who watches all of the multiverses. He's fantastic. The animation is absolutely mind-blowing. I don't even know what to say about it. It's like Fleischer Studios made with a magical computer. I need to watch it again. It made my brain glow. The animation was so absolutely incredible, and I didn't realize how incredible it was until a few minutes in, and I was like, wait, what? The way that this is moving, the way that this is designed and colored and everything about it, it's crazy. And the story is very good. Don't get me wrong. The story is very good, too. The voice acting, some of them are stand-ins. Josh Keaton is Steve Rogers in this one, which if you don't know, Josh Keaton was Spider-Man in Spectacular Spider-Man, which I still feel is the best Spider-Man cartoon ever. But he's a great Steve Rogers. And then Peggy is voiced by, her name just fell out. Haley. Is Haley Atwell? Is that right? Am I out of my mind? I am out of my mind because I came home and I slept for 4 hours and I have no idea what's happening. Yes, that's her. Look at that. I Googled it, and then her absolutely beautiful, incredible picture came up. Haley Atwell voices Captain Carter. But it's Captain Carter. It's what if Peggy Carter became or received the Captain America, the Super Soldier Serum, rather than Steve Rogers. It's incredible. It's beautiful to look at. So I want to watch that again. I want to watch the Suicide Squad again. What If looks to be very promising. And I don't know if the animation style is going to be exactly the same throughout all of them. I'll be okay if they change it up, but I also just want to see more of this gorgeous style. You guys, that is enough jibber-jabber from me. More than enough jibber-jabber from me. It is time now for 13 things we love about Friday the 13th. So grab your favorite cheap domestic beer, whether it be PBR, Miller Lite, some Anheuser-Busch product. Crack it open and listen to the Needless Commentary team discuss Friday the 13th. It is time to celebrate the convergence of events that is the newest episode of the Needless Things podcast coming out on Friday the 13th. So we are obligated by pop culture law to discuss the Friday the 13th franchise of movies and more, potentially. Well, I have no idea what all we're going to do here. But the idea of the episode is 13 things that we love about Friday the 13th. But we're probably going to get into stuff that we don't love so much as well. And that'll be fun. I've got a really insane thing going on for the listeners. This is going to be some really nice to listen to for you guys. I'm going to turn my background off because something really crazy is going on. There we go. That's better. I had to turn my lights on because I have to take notes for these. Like when we do these like list type episodes, I have to write down like whose turn it is and who picks what and whatever else. And I can't see if the lights aren't on.
It's probably a good idea considering there's alcohol involved and we're an unruly bunch.
There is alcohol involved, although I have switched from Elijah Craig to Four Roses because Four Roses is about $20 cheaper.
Four Roses is good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Four Roses is fine if you've never had Elijah Craig.
Nah.
Fair enough.
I think it's got a different burn that I don't find as appealing, but I'll get used to it for $20 less a freaking bottle. All right, guys. You've heard the voices. You know who's here, but of course we're going to go around and introduce them. The man that we all love to hear from, who's always got the positive spin, the sunny side of life coming out of his mouth and his ass, Mr. Arian Gulick.
My wall of asses.
Yes, the listeners cannot see the wall of butts. And joining us as well from lovely Cadaver Manor, Ryan and Nicole, the sweetest, geekiest couple in the world.
Hey, what's up?
Hi.
You're looking pretty sweet tonight, buddy.
I'm looking really tired tonight.
You're wearing a tank top and it's throwing me off.
It's because I don't give a fuck.
We've got a few weeks before we've really got to give a fuck, don't we?
Sure.
We'll be giving some fucks at Dragon Con.
Oh, I can't wait.
We will be given so many fucks.
All right. So we're going to talk about Friday the 13th. We're going to do kind of a traditional I say needless things. Literally every podcast ever does this kind of thing. We're just going to go around and talk about Friday the 13th and do a thing where, for example, Nicole, why don't you tell us something that you love about Friday the 13th?
So am I going? Is this it?
You're going. This is it.
I'm going.
It's a
Oh,
go.
you're on the spot.
It is a go. Okay, so one of my favorite things about Friday the 13th, the series, my favorite moment, one of my favorite movies is Seven. And I always tell everybody, like, I love every Friday the 13th, like a mom who has like a whole bunch of kids, loves all of her kids, but like for different reasons. So I love them all. Seven, I love a lot because of what it potentially could have been. It was like the whole Jason versus Carrie thing. Unfortunately, it got cut to pieces, but the sleeping bag kill in part 7, where Jason picks up a woman in a sleeping bag and repeatedly slams her up against the trunk of a tree until she is, we're assuming, oatmeal in there. Now, unfortunately, in the cut that made it to the world, it was they just, the MPAA just shit all over it, and
it's like one hit, right?
Yeah. So like it was so, like when they filmed it, it was such an intense thing. Like Kane Hodder like threw his back out. Like he said, it was like one of the hardest things he ever had to do was like swing this sleeping bag, and they hit it multiple times. It was like wham, 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 wham. And if you see the footage, the way it was intended to be, it was one of the most intense kills ever. So it's a favorite of mine. And they actually kind of paid some service to it in Jason X, because 7 got so fucked up. They sort of like, they had that hologram camp scene where he sort of redoes that kill.
Only it's 2 girls.
Yeah, which is like, it's just a nod of like the love of that scene. And so I love that scene for the way I see it in my head and how amazing it is, and what an amazing kill it is. I wish that, we got to see the polished, beautiful, finished product on screen, but I that's a moment that I adore.
Yeah, it's
damn it.
Even as is, it's brutal and intense, because it is just, if I'm remembering it right, it is the one hit, but you can see the body basically like snaps in half on the tree. Like, and it's almost, for not going on and on and on.
It's one of those things, like kills in a movie where everyone remembers it being more intense than it actually is on screen. It's one of those moments.
Yes.
And there's several, if I was able to like rack my brain. It's one of those moments where, like in Human Centipede, when people talk about Human Centipede and how gross it is and this and that, most of Human Centipede happens inside your head, the grossness of it. This moment is kind of one of those things where a lot of the brutality that you're seeing is because it's such a crazy concept. A lot of it is like your imagination makes it that much more intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and, well,
I love that moment.
There's a lot of stuff like that in the franchise where, especially if you saw it as a kid and maybe haven't revisited them, things are a lot bigger, more intense, scarier, more violent. But the good thing is when you do go back and revisit them, there's still plenty of fucked up shit to enjoy. They're not in any way mellow.
I love this series because of the creative kills, because Jason doesn't just stab everybody with a machete,
I mean, you don't love it because the leads are great.
Are you talking shit about Corey Feldman?
Well, I am inadvertently. Crispin Glover, though. Come on, let's give it up for him. Before we get any further, Nicole, you kicked us off very nicely. But we've got some discussion questions, or not discussion questions, group discussion, I guess. If you're a member of the Needless Things Podcast Facebook group, and you should be, if you're not, go join right now. I put up a post in there asking what's your favorite thing about the Friday the 13th franchise, with a nice little picture of the dummy from part 5 impaled on the whatever the hell that farm implement is supposed to be.
Apparently farming is just shit that can really kill you.
Yeah, I'm still not
no other
clear
purpose
on what the hell that is. But our friend Mr. Bo Brown said the standard set for lifeguard excellence.
Yeah.
Bob Burke, friend of the show, said Jason in space. I'm with him 100% on that.
I love Jason in space so much.
Gary Mitchell, beloved leader, director of the Dragon Con Sci-Fi Classics track, said Kane Hodder is Jason because you can tell what Jason's thinking, especially when he's pissed. That's a really good point, because Kane Hodder's performance, he brought a lot of nuance to Jason's movements and posture and everything else. You almost know it's Kane Hodder just from looking at it.
There's a reason why he played Jason 4 times.
Yes.
And it's because he embodies that. And, it's a talent to be able to take a nonverbal role and convey emotion and feelings and, confusion and anger and, all that stuff. I obviously am a huge Kane Hodder fan. So I mean, I think that he's the best Jason, even though some of the movies that he was in were not maybe the strongest.
Don't even start on Jason Goes to Hell.
I'm going to talk about Jason.
I don't want to hear it. Moving on. Craig Crumpton is going to be that guy and say, if nothing is an acceptable answer, then I choose nothing.
Yeah,
well, Craig,
so
thank you
I will
for your
say
input.
that comment really irked me. I don't know this guy.
I think he's just being a funny guy on the internet. It's fine. And you know what? This franchise isn't for anybody. I'm sure he's more of an Anne of Green Gables guy, and that's fine.
I'm sure he's very edgy.
Jason Wilson. Jason Wilson, director of the soon-to-be hit documentary Troublemaker. Jason's can-do attitude. That's the kind of unwavering tenaciousness that this country was built on. I think that's true.
Yeah.
Christina Sizemore. My least favorite is how misunderstood he is. You would be angry too if a bunch of people started drinking and having sex on your property and then lopped off your mama's head. I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
Very good point. Jason is really more of an anti-hero than a villain.
Definitely a sympathetic villain.
Yes, absolutely. Our pal Beth said Stephen Williams' Southern accent in Jason Goes to Hell, maybe, but I also agree with Bob Burke. And on that point, all I will say is Jason Voorhees.
It's amazing.
Rebecca Perry, Crispin Glover's dance moves in number 4. I mean, honestly, possibly the best thing about the whole franchise.
That was on my
That
list.
was one. Yeah, that was one of my as well. You know, it's perfect.
And Chris DiPetrillo, 2 words, sleeping bag.
There we go.
So there you go. That is our input from the group. And now it is time to move on. I'm very curious about this. Arian, what is one thing that you love about the Friday the 13th franchise?
So the first one is probably my favorite one because it does something that one of Dave's favorite things. It subverts your expectations. And plays with some horror movie tropes. So like they're setting it up for like this guy Jason is like coming back and killing everybody, but then it turns out it's his mom. But then it also turns out at the end that, like, you know, he jumps out of the water and there really is a Jason.
He's a rotten lake boy.
I mean, aren't we all when you get down?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, especially here in the South.
Yeah.
This movie was subverting expectations before the expectations even got invented. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, remember, this was 1980. So, yeah, there were, obviously there was a lot of horror and stuff like that. But
I mean, at this point, what was it? Black Christmas and Halloween
were pretty much...
We're kind of the only ones your mass audience might know about.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But Texas Chainsaw Massacre is kind of in its own category.
Well, and three movies do not a genre make.
Yes.
No.
But no, it's so funny. Like, I can't really imagine what it would have been like to see it in the theater when it was released. Like, because I went into Friday the 13th with expectations, of at least knowing about it. Was one of my early slasher movies, but like still it was a thing when I started watching them. And when I started watching slasher movies in like the late 80s, it was like a thing. Like it was everything,
No,
so
I mean, it was one of the pop culture touchstones of the 80s. It's why now so many slasher shows, movies, whatever that get made have that 80s vibe or even take place in the 80s.
Like one came out every year of the 80s until like it skipped 87 between 6 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's beautiful. Real quick, the first time, and I would imagine we're all going to have the same answer, but I mean, everybody knew what part 1 was. Like, you knew about Jason by the time you saw part 1. It's not like it was the reveal didn't necessarily get you in the way that it would have to an audience seeing it for the first time.
Right.
For part one wasn't my first. I'm not sure which one was my first.
Yeah,
but
it's not the
wasn't
one I
part
saw
one.
first either.
Yeah, so I knew, like, I basically knew the story because I mean they rehashed the story in like 2, 3, and they rehashed the story in several of them. You know,
I want to say 1 or 2, 3, and 4 all have recaps like previously on.
yeah,
Like I think
Five
all of
has a
them do.
recap too.
Yeah, you're right. 5 does because they want to establish like, oh, it's Jason still.
Right.
yep,
So
Psych, Roy, whatever.
for me, by the time I saw part 1, I had already seen I don't remember honestly which one I saw first. It might have been 3.
I definitely saw one first, but like it was like 87, 88, 89, somewhere in that time span. I was definitely like 10 to 12. And like by that point, like you knew who Jason was.
See, and that's where I was at is
Yeah.
by the time I saw the first one, I didn't used to like the first one because Jason wasn't in it.
Yeah.
Like by the time Jason was a pop culture icon already. And so to go back, like, well, I need to watch the first one of these, and then he's not even in it, was weird. And also for years, it's hard. You can't really overstate Jason's presence in pop culture in the 80s and the 90s. I mean, it was such a big thing that like there may have been a point where I thought I had seen the movies and hadn't seen the movies. Like that's how omnipresent he was alongside Freddy, because Nightmare on Elm Street was my jam.
Same.
Probably still is. But to go back, I remember watching 1 and 2 for the first time and just being like, where's the hockey mask? What is happening? What is this?
Yeah.
I specifically remember 1 being one. It was like Halloween 3, where everybody would talk about it.
Yes.
And everyone would be like, hey, that's the one that you don't rent at the video store. That's the one, like, because you're not going to get the guy. Like, that guy's not in it. It was a thing. So, it was a long time till I saw 1. Like, I was probably 16 or 17 when I like actually went back and watched 1. I'd seen the recaps, obviously, and knew it was his mother, but it was probably the last one that I saw.
I think I had seen you've seen the recaps, but I think until you watch 1 for the first time, back before the internet, back before everybody knew everything about everything, whether they'd seen it or not, to watch 1 and realize like, oh shit, he's not in it at all. Like, it's not like the first 10 minutes are about his mother. Like, it's this whole movie. And now I love it. I think it's great. I think it's actually I would say it's a brilliant horror film.
yeah.
It's exploitive, but it's brilliant.
Well, I think that when you're looking at it through younger eyes, through preteen and teenage eyes, especially growing up as people who grew up with Jason being a thing, it makes sense to be like, that's fucking bullshit. Jason's not in it.
Well, it's
then
like
to watch it like as an adult, you're like, oh my God, this is an amazing movie. This is actually a really good movie.
But when you're younger, it's like watching a porn with no sex.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not what I came here for. I came here for Hockey Mask Guy. All right. We got to move on. I am going to go, you know what? Right out of the gate, I'm going to go ahead and diverge a little bit. And one of my favorite things about the franchise is actually Friday the 13th, the series, the television show.
Nice.
I loved that show when it was on. It was on 87 to 90, and I watched it religiously. And for the listeners who may be like aware of the show but have never watched it because the Hockey Mask Guy is not in it.
Yep.
It was created by producer Frank Mancuso Jr., who got on board with the film starting with part 2. And the show was being developed as something called the 13th Hour. And it's about these two cousins who inherit an antique shop from their uncle. Turns out their uncle made a deal with the devil, as it happens. And they have to recover all these cursed artifacts that are out there. And Frank Mancuso is basically like, well, wait a minute. I can call this thing Friday the 13th. And by 1989, Friday the 13th was a massive pop culture juggernaut. Yeah. Why not call the show Friday the 13th? Who gives a shit if it doesn't have Jason in it? People are going to watch it just because of the name.
Not even doesn't have Jason in it. Doesn't have anything
nothing
to do
nothing
with the
to
movie.
Do with it.
What? It's not even like it was a spin-off, or it has zero things to do with it.
There's not even an episode, because I remember being younger, I was thinking, well, it's surely at some point there will at least be an episode where they're like looking for Jason's mask or something. Nothing. But it's a great syndicated horror show. I a couple of years ago got the whole series on Amazon for like $20 on DVD, and have watched it a couple of times through now. And if it's of its era. So I'm not going to say a young person watching it with modern eyes is going to be like, yeah, this really is incredible. But if you have an eye for that period of time, it really is a good show that I think holds up. The relationship between Mickey and Ryan you get it. You understand what's going on. It's a good show. There are 3 seasons of, spooky item of the week. And it's everything from a cradle that drowns people to like cursed boxing gloves to it's wild. It gets really, really wild. And every episode's pretty darn good. It's one of those things where now in the 3rd season, they replaced Ryan with like a younger guy that at first you're like, fuck this guy, this isn't Ryan. But then as you watch it, you're like, oh, it doesn't matter, whatever. It's a good, fun show. You can watch a few episodes at a time and enjoy it. But I still, when I watch it, get the feeling I had when I was a kid, because being a syndicated show at the time, in the late 80s, it was really pushing the envelope for violence and gore, or sex and violence and just R-rated stuff. And it really felt like you were watching R-rated content just on TV. It felt naughty. And I dug that. And now, going back and watching it now, it really is still pretty hardcore for something that was just on, USA or whatever the hell channel it was on. I don't think I put that in my notes, but it was something that was accessible to me. So it was, one of the basic cable at the very least. Might have been Fox.
Did you guys ever watch that show? I think it was called Fringe.
Yes, of course, Fringe, greatest science fiction show of all time.
But it's very reminiscent of that, because they kind of have to go and find like the cursed item, and whatever, undo it.
and Friday the 13th obviously wasn't as connected as Fringe was told in a different era of storytelling, where everything had to have a big overarching season-long thing. But it's episodic. You can watch one episode and get everything you need out of it. You don't have to sit there and watch like 8 episodes to understand the story. I dig it. I really love this show. I really do.
Yeah. Ryan got it for me for a birthday or Christmas or something like that, and it's wonderful.
All right, Ryan, what is something that you love about Friday the 13th?
I'm going to have to go with the opening to my favorite Friday the 13th, Jason Lives. The opening to that movie with the weird, absurd, like James Bond kind of opening.
Yes.
That's the whole tone for the movie.
Yes.
That's a thing that I like. That's my speed. Because at that point, everything's established. It's no longer like mysterious. It's like, hell yeah, this is a Jason movie. You came here for this. It's ridiculous. Let's do it. Like I love it.
And it's zombie Jason. It's where we get the Frankenstein reanimated Jason. Really, the whole opening of that movie,
it's incredible.
Is awesome. Horseshack, come on.
Yeah.
That's the James Bond, the little circle coming in, Jason turns, slashes the machete. It really is, buckle in. We're gonna get fucking crazy this time.
Exactly.
And that's what, in my opinion, at that point, that's what the franchise needed.
Yeah, for sure.
We got honestly 4 very solid movies, because if you look at just the first 4 movies, they're very, very different. The first one is the mom. The second one is sackhead hillbilly Jason. The third one does the 3D experiment and is, even though it's might be the worst one of the series, is
I'll get to that one.
is in a way the template for how the rest of the series is going to go.
Yeah.
And then part 4 kind of ups that formula a little bit, and then 5 we get Roy.
I love Roy,
which is a whole other thing that, you know, now I realize was very successful. And then 6, it's like, all right, Jason's back. We got to kick this motherfucker into overdrive.
Yeah. Like the fact that he just walks, every time he walks into a room, the door just explodes.
Boom!
It's the best shit ever. It's just so good.
It is. It is
walks
so good.
by doors and they're like,
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Surprise, motherfucker.
That his Jason, not only is Jason undead at this point, but he has the magical ability to turn doors into splinters.
Yes. Which, like, you can't fuck with that.
No, you can't. Jason Voorhees ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah.
All right. Got to bring it back around. It's time for round 2. Nicole, what is your next favorite thing about Friday the 13th?
Amy Steele, aka Ginny, part 2, greatest final girl ever in the history of horror. Personally, I love Ginny. She, and again, this was still very early in Final Girls and stuff like that, but she,
right, it wasn't quite a trope yet.
Yeah. And so it's not like she was a response to other worthless, helpless final girls, but she was smart, competent, completely able to take care of herself. She, a lot of things went against her, but she made intelligent choices considering like the information that was presented to her. She very quickly catches on that shit is fucked up, I absolutely love her. She's my favorite final girl for anybody. And the whole shit at the end with making the connection, as she runs into the shack and she sees the shrine, and makes the connection that, okay, this is significant. This, I pretty sure that this is this guy's mom, because she has heard the story now, because again, you capped it in the beginning with the campfire story about the mom losing her head, and well, here's a head, it's got to be the mom. And then, so her solution is that, like, because I think she was like a child psychology student, I think she said at one point in the story. So she kind of takes on the persona of mother. She puts the most disgusting sweater on. Honestly, probably the grossest thing in the entire franchise is her putting that grody sweater on. Blood-soaked, probably molded, nasty Mrs. Voorhees. But lice. Yeah. Because Jason's just crawling with lice. Oh yeah, lice, and it's not like he laundered the thing, What are the chiggers? Yeah. The little things that burrow into your skin. He's covered in all that shit, and it's all over that sweater too, because Jason probably hasn't bathed in 20 years. No. Oh gosh, think about the smell of that guy. Like even pre-zombie. I bet zombie Jason doesn't smell as bad as living Jason. I would say that's probably pretty accurate. Ugh. But yeah, one of my absolute favorite thing. I absolutely love Ginny. She is she's fantastic. She kicks ass the whole time. And the moment when she was like, "There's someone in this room," she's like, "There's someone in this fucking room." I love that moment so much.
to this day in the series, she's probably the best female character, except for the robot in Jason X. But
the nipples,
but is a robot technically female? I mean, she's built like a female.
I mean, I feel like if you're sentient, you can identify as whatever gender or non-gender you please.
And this robot identifies as a female. So
this is 2021. Thank you.
That's exactly.
Either way, Ginny, one of my favorite things about Friday the 13th and my favorite final girl, period.
All right, Arian, what is your second favorite thing?
The absurdity that is Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
That's just the putting Jason on a boat was hilarious to me. I don't know.
Putting Jason on a boat that goes to Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yes, from a landlocked lake.
From Crystal Lake.
Yeah. Which, it's okay.
There are so many moments that you just have to say, it's fine.
The commentary on that movie makes the movie worth watching, because I've made note, we did a commentary on it. Not our comment. Well, our commentary is fantastic as well. But the actual studio produced commentary makes that movie worth watching, because they actually do address, like, at one point in production, we realized that Crystal Lake is landlocked. How did they get to the ocean? And we're like, fuck it. So, and actually, I'm not sure if that was the commentary or some of the bonus features, but whatever the case, you need to get your ass to the store. And if it's even still available, I don't know. That Shout Factory box set
It's incredible.
is the fucking bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a term I use lightly. That set is incredible. And my gosh, after Halloween, they did that set. They did the Friday the 13th set. Where is my Nightmare on Elm Street set, Shout Factory?
Yeah. They're either working on it or
well, there was so rumors about a Nightmare set leaked, and then Shout Factory was like, that's not real, we're not doing that. So I don't know, which, granted, that's the thing companies say when stuff leaks and they don't want it to leak, so who knows. But my gosh, we need a Nightmare set so freaking bad.
Yeah.
And it does not need to include the remake, though, which it probably will. But I will take that disc. I will take that disc out. I'll credit card swipe it up my ass and throw it in the trash.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's fucking
unlike the Friday remake, which is not bad.
Which is good.
Yeah,
the Friday remake is good. It's not even not bad. It's good.
Yeah.
Remind me, I have a fun story about the Friday remake.
Go for it. Do it now, unless you want to save it for your.
No. I'll tell you guys after the.
This is secret.
It's a little inside baseball. That, like,
join the Needless Things OnlyFans to get this story. All right, Ryan, what is your next favorite thing about Friday the 13th?
Friday the 13th, the NES game.
What is wrong with you?
All right, hear me out. So the game, yes, it's impossibly hard. It's not necessarily fun. But I love the feelings that the imagery from that game give me, because I had that game. I had the Nightmare game. I had every horror game that came out, no matter what it was. And it was like this weird cover with Jason, but he had like a rainbow behind him.
Well, it's the LJN.
No, it's like actually a good video game series. It's Splatterhouse.
Yeah, Splatterhouse is
awesome.
Splatterhouse rules.
Which is not directly, inspired by.
What are you trying to say? Because the main character is a hulking beast that wears a hockey mask and wields a machete. What point are you trying to make, Arian?
I don't see any similarities.
None at all.
But,
anyway, Ryan, please share your nostalgia.
So I used to play the game all the time. I never would get anywhere, and then it ends with like all your friends are dead, you lose. Which was, that was a real wake-up call. Yeah, it was very realistic, I guess. But At the end of the day, I don't know, but I loved the music to that game.
Yes.
And it's still like, if I hear it now, and I'll hear like current songs that use some of the same progressions as the music from that Friday the 13th music, and I'm like, oh man, that gives me like the Friday the 13th vibe. And it's not even like music from any of the movies or anything.
So let me ask you,
Yeah,
because I hated that game, because it was so hard, and because it was by the time I played it, it was 1994, and I was working in Video Game Exchange, which was a precursor to GameStop and whatever else. And we were encouraged, like, if there are no customers in the store, we want you to play. Literally, we want you to play every game in the store because we want you to be able to talk about these games. So the first time I ever played the Friday the 13th game was in 1994. I'm 18 years old and probably not even really playing NES games anymore. I'd moved to Super Nintendo by that point. I played this game. I was like, this is shit. This is terrible. This is just hard as fuck. There's no point to it. I don't get it. However, I love that there's an NES game of this R-rated gory movie franchise, and it is part of the nostalgia of Friday the 13th. And that being the case, I had to buy NECA's video game-based figure.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have the GameStop one that when you open the box, it plays the music?
Yes.
It's beautiful.
It's great.
It's
that's
beautiful.
The music I'm talking about. It's
perfect. And that's it. It's not even really about the game. It's about what the game represents. It's about that era, about that point in history where these gruesome horror movies were getting representation in essentially a children's video game world.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy that it even happened. So when I saw that figure in GameStop, I was like, ah, shit, I hate that game, but I have to have that figure because of what it represents.
I mean, I did fully I had that game when it was I don't think I had a Super Nintendo. I don't think I had a Sega. I played it that was the best graphics I had ever seen when I played that game. So, I mean, I did really like it and I played the shit out of it. I was always confused because obviously you fight Jason and stuff, but I was always confused at why there were zombies jumping out of the lake.
Just because they had to have other characters that weren't Jason. It had to have more than just him. Yeah.
One game long boss fight.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's that's a good point. That's kind of what the game was.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's my pick. It's not a great game. I fully accept that, but I do fully have nostalgia for it. And if I hear that music, it takes me back.
So my next pick, sort of in keeping with your non-movie choice, back in 97, 98-ish, Spencer Gifts released a line of plush horror doll figure things. They're about, I guess they're probably 24 inches tall. They have plush bodies with wire frames inside, and they've got plastic rotocast heads, and they hit all the big boys. They've got Leatherface, Freddy. When did Scream come out? Scream was 99, right?
Yeah.
So this had to be, unless the Scream
was
one
96.
What the fuck?
Yeah, we're old, dude. 25 years.
Okay, so this was probably 97 or 98. So it's Leatherface, Freddy, Ghostface, Michael Myers, the Crypt Keeper, two different versions of the Crypt Keeper, and Jason. And I went into a Spencer Gifts that back in the day, Spencer Gifts was not all like dildos and shirts that say fuck. They actually had toys and like unique, cool horror stuff. And before Spirit Halloween, Spencer Gifts was the place to go for your Halloween masks and ornaments and decorations and everything else. Like in September after Labor Day of every year, Spencer, they would redo the whole fucking store so that the front half was all basically Spirit Halloween. What you see now when you go into Spirit Halloween, only it would be crammed in the front of a Spencer Gifts in a mall. Well, so Spencer really was kind of your place to go if you wanted horror merchandise. Like it was either that or the mail order shit in the back of Fangoria.
Mm-hmm.
So Spencer Gifts had commissioned this line of talking plush horror dolls, and the Jason Voorhees doll is just one of my favorite things that I own.
What did he say?
He goes.
Okay.
And actually, I don't think I've got.
I'm glad he wasn't like, "Hey, what's up?"
Well, I recently redid that whole section of the Phantom Zone and like dusted and gave everything a thorough cleaning. And I would go over and grab him and press the button, but I took the batteries out of those guys because obviously you can't leave batteries in things or they corrode. So he doesn't have batteries in him right now. I wish I'd thought more in advance and done it, but that's what you squeeze him and he's got a little voice box in his chest and he does
like, "Hey, I'm Jason."
Yeah. "Hi, I'm Jason. I'll be your buddy.
Mom.
Have you seen my mama?" No, it's not that. It plays like it's literally a sample because it not only does it do the but it has the music playing behind it. Nice. So you can tell it's literally the sample from the movie. But he's got he's got like an oversized plastic sculpted head. They all come with all of their weapons, like Leatherface, Michael Myers, Ghostface, and Freddy's got his glove and he's got a hat. But they each come with like one accessory. But his machete is like tiny. So for some reason, all of their accessories are like a third the size they should be. So it's this big 24-inch hulking, like pretty good looking Jason with this little tiny machete. But I love this thing.
He's got machete envy.
It's yeah, he probably does. Because honestly, I've got a couple of NECA figures that their machetes are bigger than this gigantic Jason. But it was the weirdest thing. We went into the Spencer Gifts and I was like, gosh, I'd love to have those. Those are awesome. And the guy, I don't know why, to this day, I don't know why. And I was friendly to him and I had a conversation and we talked a little bit. I ended up buying those. I ended up buying, if you remember Art Asylum, they were a company that started off doing toys. They would sculpt toys for McFarlane. And then they branched off and started doing their own stuff. They did Rob Zombie toys. They did Kiss toys. There were Art Asylum released a line of 24-inch Kiss action figures that played. I remember those. They played samples. There was this Gene. They did all 4 members of Kiss, and I actually think they might have even done 2 lines of these. But I bought the Gene Simmons and all of these horror dolls. I don't know why to this day the guy gave me 75% off of everything.
Amazing.
I don't know why.
Probably because you were cool and he was having a shitty day at work. So
that had to be it. But like, that's not even the employee discount. That's like the insanity. Like that guy had to get shit canned at some point. But yeah, so I got all of those dolls, the 24-inch Gene Simmons, maybe a couple other things I don't know, and it's just incredible. But that Jason Voorhees is my favorite of the bunch because there's something about having this little plush Jason that you squeeze him and he makes the noise that's just delightful to me. Do you have any recollection of these?
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen them at my house, obviously, but like, do you remember me upstairs?
I fully do. I remember that Spencer's used to carry all sorts of horror stuff. And I remember it being like a huge deal. I remember they had like all those badass like Chucky and Bride of Chucky dolls that were like the life-size ones. Like, yeah, I went there all the time looking at all that stuff. Could never afford any of it.
It used to be like Well, even before Hot Topic, Spencer was like the cool store in the mall.
And I did get the Puppet Master Blade figure from there.
Yes. Because they carried actual figures too. And they didn't have just like McFarlane stuff. They carried weird shit like because Full Moon released their own line of figures, of Puppet Master figures, long before NECA did it, long before anything else. There were Full Moon Puppet Master figures, and Spencer was the only place you could go aside from your local comic shop if they decided to carry them.
Yeah.
Spencer was somewhere you could go and walk in and buy weird shit like that.
Yep. I remember I bought a bunch of the figures there, and I remember that they had like the actual like Blade doll as well. Like the pretty
that's crazy.
Yeah. So and he like I love that. I still got it. So.
And now
at first I thought you were talking about several years ago. I was at Days of the Dead and I came across, and I've showed it to you, but you probably
nothing will ever match that you're fine.
It's this completely
isn't it Jason Goes to Hell?
Random Jason doll that I found on a table at Days of the Dead that had no label on it. It was just sitting there like a vendor table, not just like a table. And it's a stuffed body, and he's wearing like brown shirt and pants, and he's got plastic feet, hands with a machete, and head. And it had no tag on it or anything. And I kind of grabbed it and I said to the guy running the table, I was like, what is this? And he was like, I have no idea. I don't know where that came from. Like, I don't think he's like, it's on my table, but I don't know how it got here. And I was like, well, like how much? And he was like, $5. And so I paid the $5 and that's it. That's Ryan just pulled it up. It's just a fucking random ass doll.
I think it's from Jason Goes to Hell, oddly enough.
Yeah.
Well, this one, I looked up because I had to know what year this was. This was 99 is when these dolls came out. And there's actually an auction or somebody has them for all 6 of them on sale right now, or not on sale, for sale for $1,200.
God damn.
But I mean, that's think about it. That's over 20 years ago. These are like vintage now. And your little guy is incredible. I've never seen anything like that. Because, Mezco did some really neat, weird, like soft goods Jason figure releases too. But I've never seen anything like that one you've got.
He's kind of big. He's not really big, but he's big, like it's compared to like, NECA shit and stuff.
But he's I mean, it's
like stuffed animal.
It's big enough to qualify as stuffed animal size, and that's the Mezco ones I'm thinking of are like 9-inch figural things. They're not plush like this.
Yeah.
So that's a really unique piece that you've
totally got, random find, $5. He like came down from the horror movie gods and was placed on this vendor table for me to find and pay $5 for at Days of the Dead. And like literally the guy was like, I don't even know where that came from. It just ended up on my table. You can have it for $5.
And that's the magic of like conventions and in-person events.
Finding shit that you didn't even know that you needed to have.
So that wraps up our second round. It is time now, by tradition, to talk about things that we maybe don't love so much about Friday the 13th. Our least favorite things about the franchise. Because look, for everything that you love, there are things about it that you don't love. So, Nicole, why don't you tell us something that maybe isn't your favorite about the franchise?
So, I'm going to try to like trim it down. My least favorite movie is Part 3, and you kind of touched on this briefly. And when I say my least favorite, I'm including Jason Goes to Hell. My least favorite is Part 3. I think that Part 3 is the most phoned in of any of the, of the franchise. The main girl's story is fucking retarded. It's bad. It's not good. It's a silly story. It's a silly story. Sorry. So and apparently there was talks about bringing Ginny back for part 3 and making part 3 be about him stalking Ginny, which would have been really cool.
That's what it feels like it should have been.
Yeah. Instead, they have this girl that has never been in any of the other parts and has no history with Jason, but she tells this story about being attacked by Jason in the woods and surviving on like some just bullshit reason that she survives her encounter with Jason, which anyone else that has survived an encounter with Jason, it's been a fucking thing, like a whole movie about surviving your encounter with Jason.
Well, and her encounter is not like anybody else's encounter.
No, not remotely. It doesn't fit. It doesn't make any sense. It's the worst writing. It's like, it just doesn't fit in there. That movie, I mean, and I'm cool with gimmicks, the 3D gimmick thing. Cool, like whatever, but it didn't have any other than the hockey mask, which it did give us the hockey mask. And so of course, that's rad. Other than that, it has nothing to offer. I even don't hate Shelley like everybody else hates Shelley. I think that Shelley was annoying, but whatever.
He served his purpose. And in retrospect, I don't hate him. I hated him. I hated him for a long time, but now I'm kind of like, no, you know what? They needed that character.
Yes.
He's potentially is the most important character in the movie.
Yeah, he really is. I hate the main girl, Chris, I think her name is, the character's name. I hate her. Her performance is dumb. Her character is like, all she does is just like moan and faint a lot. She's true. Completely, it just brings nothing. And especially to go from Ginny. I mean, this intelligent, kick-ass woman who really gives Jason a run for his money, to like this smarmy little like damaged, but for no particular reason, because like I don't even know if this thing really like happened, BS story thing. I have very little love other than the fact that we got the hockey mask from 3. I do not like 3.
If you remember, a couple of years ago on a Friday the 13th, we had a little grill out. You guys came over and we had the marathon going on.
I remember some of it.
And
I remember Ryan dragged me around the yard in the sleeping bag, and it was probably not.
Well, no, that was the Jason Olympics.
Oh, okay.
This was a more low key event where we were just hanging out watching the movies. But
okay, I know what you're talking about.
Part 3 was on when I finished grilling and it was time to eat. And like while we were eating, I was like, "Wait, should I pause this?" And we're like, "Nah,
that's okay.
It's fine.
We'll wait till a good one."
Yeah.
I won't say, like I said, I love all the Friday the 13th movies. That is, if they were my children, that would be the one that went to jail and, like didn't wash and, called me an asshole at Thanksgiving.
3 goes to jail and you're like, you know what? Maybe we'll save that bail money in case 6 needs it.
Maybe he'll learn from it. Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Arian, what is something that you do not love about Friday the 13th?
The fact that Dick Warlock was only the stunt coordinator for Friday the 13th Part 5 as opposed to the entire series.
You just like seeing Dick Warlock.
Yeah, I just like seeing.
Well, who doesn't?
But we do have a Halloween Friday the 13th crossover with Dick Warlock.
It's true. He was
he was Kurt Russell's personal stunt double for like 20 freaking years.
Yeah.
And Big Trouble in Little China, friggin' Escape from New York, etc., etc. I feel like the series could have done with some more boobies.
it's not enough boobs.
Boobies.
That's fair. Boobies. I think that's a fair critique.
No.
my thing that I don't love. NECA released a series of supposed prop replica masks. Now, Arian, I know you don't have any of these.
No.
But Ryan and Nicole, do you have any of the NECA prop replica masks?
No, all of ours are. Who's the guy who does ours? We have like 7 of them, but I don't know who makes them. It's some like independent.
Arian, are you holding a weasel? What is that? Oh, it's a cat. Okay.
It's a murder cat. Oh shit, she's pissed.
I can't remember because I'm on the spot, but there's a guy, and I've got several ones from other places, but the majority of mine, Creation X.
Yeah,
I think it's Creation X with a K.
Okay.
This guy hand makes them, and they're fantastic.
And he weathers them and customizes them and does all kinds of things.
Yeah, he's got some that are like just unique that he's made, and he's got one for each movie, and he's got the video game one and several other
but they're all weathered and chipped away.
Beautiful.
Well, I bought years ago of NECA's supposed prop replica masks, and to me prop replica means it's a replica of a prop. I know that's crazy. I know that's me attributing a lot of meaning to just words.
I mean, how dare you hear words and think they mean what you think they mean?
So this mask that I have now, it's very nice. It's very well made. It's thick. It has a cool feel to it. It's probably like resin, but size-wise, this would not fit on my son when he was like 8 years old. It's the tiniest, like when I put it on, and I think I'm 6'4". I think of myself as relatively Jason's size. Now, granted, I am bigger than Kane Hodder, but this thing covers, like, I know this isn't good for the listeners, but it covers this portion of my face. It's like the size of my hand on my face.
It's like a masklet.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't understand how NECA could put these out and call them prop replicas.
And it doesn't even cover your chin.
Right. It's you couldn't wear it under any circumstances as a replica of a Jason Voorhees mask.
Is this a mask for ants?
On the it's a mask for little people, apparently. Like if you wanted to do a little Jason cosplay, that would be fine. But like on the shelf, it looks fantastic. Like it's all like everything's accurate about it. It looks great. And I actually had it on one, those little those things that fancy old people buy to put collectible plates on, like the little stand that folds out and it's got the
little gold stand thing.
Yeah. I've got it.
Or there's the black one
like
that folds out too.
Yeah. I've got it on one of those with the replica Freddy glove up against it. It looks really nice on the shelf, but if you take it down and try to do anything with it, it's worthless. It's terrible. Like these, out of all the awesome stuff that NECA has done, this is not part of it. Then that annoyed the heck out of me because it comes in this back when Toys R Us was still a thing. I got this from Toys R Us, and it comes in this really nice plastic like clamshell.
Oh, I remember that.
Awesome. Yeah. They look awesome. And you buy it, you get it home, you open it up, and of course, the first thing you want to do with a Jason mask is put it on, right?
Yeah.
And I like put it on the top of my head, and it just kind of like sat like right here. There was nothing. They're not good, you guys. I'm sorry. If you just want to hang it on the wall as a decoration, it's fine, but it's a little pricey to be something that you can't actually put on your face. And the fact that you can go to the Spirit Halloween store and buy one for like $20. Now, granted, I'm not talking about those soft burrito things, the foam ones.
Yeah.
But
I mean, mine are pretty much like I put them on display, but
yours are kick-ass
and do wear them from time to time.
Well, I think the ones that you've got are like legit hockey masks that he has weathered to look like Friday the 13th masks, which is what you should do. Like, because they look incredible. All right. Anyway, that was my That's my thing I don't love. Ryan, what you got for something you don't love?
I am gonna have to say the eyeball scene in part 3, where the eyeball shoots out towards the camera. It pisses me off. It's terrible. The worst effect in the entire series. It's bad. It's not good. I don't know.
It was part of that 3D gimmick,
It's so obvious. I like 3D shit. I just don't like it when people are like, "Ooh, look at this."
But that's what all of part 3 is, though. Yeah, and actually, to me, that's kind of the only redeeming charm of part 3. Is it is fun to sit and watch the
yeah,
let me grab this
the arrow,
the harpoon arrow thing.
Right.
Like, really,
the harpoon's pretty sweet, but yeah, the can't deal with the eyeball scene. It looks so dumb.
You're right. It looks terrible. It's terrible. And you just and now with these fantastic Shout Factory transfers, you can see like the string, like it's
oh yeah,
it's bad. It's bad. You're right. All right. Now that we've gotten that out of our systems, we've cleansed our souls of some of the most negative aspects of Friday the 13th. It's time to move on in our final round of celebration of this magical, inspiring franchise.
Final round, I have so many more.
Well, tough shit.
Okay.
Nicole.
So
Nicole.
for a second, I was thinking that I got 13 things.
No.
And that's not
because we do not have a 20-hour podcast, my dear.
Okay.
No,
I have 13 things ready to go.
But you do get one more thing than the rest of us, because we need a 13th thing. Well, a 13th good thing, because technically we're going to have 17 things, but 4 of them were bad, so those don't count towards our 13 things that we love. So what is your third thing that you love about Friday the 13th? Okay.
Ethel from Friday the 13th, part 5.
Wilson is gonna love you for this.
Ethel is fucking amazing. When she calls her son a dumb dildo, it's just she is glorious.
Not wrong either.
Yes.
Not wrong.
Oh my God. And she sings that little song to the chicken that she's making for the stew. And she's like, just calls him a fucking dumbass. And I mean, she's so over the top that she's come back around to be genius.
Yeah.
She tells the cop, like, fuck you, I have a bomb on me. And he just knows her so well that he's like, well, whatever. It's just Ethel. Like, I feel like, every area, and having worked in public safety, like, I know there are those people in every area, and like Ethel is, I fucking love her. She cracks me up. She's awful, but she's so awful that she's lovable. A lot of times, like, those awful characters, I kind of hate, because a lot of times it's very heavy-handed in like their awfulness, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
It's a fine line in horror.
Yeah,
doing that kind of like abrasive, off-putting character, because a lot of times, and look, we all love the horror genre. A lot of times horror creators don't have the nuance to do a character like that and not make them actually detestable.
Yes, and the actress it's
all her.
She's incredible. Yes. Like I said, the moment where I think she says you're a dumb dildo. It is her delivery, her comic timing is absolutely incredible. And like, does a horror movie need comic relief? Does it need that much comic relief? I don't know. Whatever. I am a fan of 5. I think 5. I think it got a lot of hate for a while because it was kind of cool to hate on it, just like it was cool to hate on Halloween 3. Well, because everybody else said it was bullshit. But then coming back to it,
but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, now we're old enough, wise enough to realize, like, it doesn't matter that the actual Jason's not in it, because it's one of the most violent entries in the franchise.
Yeah.
and it's a nice break. It's almost a palate cleanser before we come back with like
The zombie Jason.
maximum overdrive Jason.
And it has the outhouse. Ooh, baby.
Oh,
baby,
come on.
Ooh, baby. Hey,
Who
baby.
I wish I had some oh gosh, what is not burritos?
Enchiladas.
I wish I had some enchiladas right now.
And I love that guy. His name is Miguel. Shit,
yeah, I can't remember his name.
But he's also
he's
in Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
And he's amazing. But I weirdly have a lot of favorite moments from part 5. That's one of my favorite moments. And the fact that Ethel and the Ooh Baby Serenade outhouse scene are in the same movie.
Exist in the same movie.
Yes. It's wild. It's glorious.
Yes.
I absolutely love it. So Ethel is my answer with a side order of outhouse love.
Arian, what is your next favorite thing?
The absolute over the top absurdity that is Jason Goes to Hell. Especially Creighton Duke. He makes the movie for me.
It makes me think of a little girl in a pink dress sticking a hot dog through a donut.
and
that was on my list.
I do genuinely like Jason Goes to Hell a lot. But if Creighton Duke was not in that movie, I would not like it like I do.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like some other movies are like. It's not like the best Friday the 13th movie, but it's just a fun movie because like it's obviously not taking itself too seriously.
I mean, it's crazy. It's
just trying to go as far over the top as it possibly can. And
I agree.
I appreciate movies that like don't take themselves too seriously and just like try to have some fun sometimes.
Well, and to me, because I part 8 is my least favorite of the franchise, even over part 3. I just don't.
You mean part 9?
That movie? No, part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan.
Okay, sorry.
Really?
Jason Takes Manhattan is my least. I dislike it. I
love it.
I would almost skip it on rewatches. I dislike it so much. Now our commentary made me like it a little bit more, so I do recommend that all the listeners go listen to that because you'll enjoy the movie more for having heard it.
I feel like the first 2/3 of 8 are great, and it kind of goes off the rails when they actually get to Manhattan. But
then Jason Goes to Hell comes around, and it's almost a similar vibe to part 6, where they're like, okay, we have had these things that have gone before, and it is time to really ramp things up. And they just go fucking bonkers. And I like Jason Goes to Hell for that. But yes, Creighton Duke, the fantastic Stephen Williams,
true,
is the highlight of it for sure.
Yes. I liked that movie more before I listened to an interview with the director. That guy is insufferable. FYI.
Yeah, that guy sucks. Like that interview made me hate him.
He tries to make it seem like a lot of the shit was intentional.
Like nobody
that's not intentional.
understood how smart I am about this.
Oh yeah, that's awful.
Oh, it was so bad. He was like, obviously he's a Deadite. That was the plan from the beginning. Yeah. It's like, shut up, dude. He's
an army insufferable prick. I'm not a fan.
I don't need to hear that. All right. Let's see. Oh, I'm up next. What have I got? Okay, so Creighton Duke was actually next on my list, so we
Creighton
just
Duke
covered
was next
that.
On mine too, yeah.
After Creighton Duke, I've got 2 things, and I can roll these 2 things into one because the theme song from part 3 was going to be my pick. But then I realized, because it's basically the sort of disco remix of the music. But then I realized that Harry Manfredini composed the music for parts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, and for the video game. So basically everything except Jason Takes Manhattan, Harry Manfredini did the music for. And you might think to yourself, like, oh, well, it's the Friday the 13th music. It's a ripoff of Psycho, and that's all there is. But having purchased most of these scores from Waxwork Records on their absolutely incredible vinyl releases, there is so much tone-setting music that this man has made. Each of the movies has a different feel, and really, he's like, I'm not going to go so crazy as to say he's the John Williams of horror, because that's a bit much, but he's just got this feel for this universe, I guess. And I can put any of these scores on and listen to the whole thing the whole way through. They're all those Waxwork Records releases are 2 LP sets, and I'll listen to both records all the way through, and they just set this creepy, foreboding, but fun mood. It really is. This man's work is underappreciated, I think, because most people probably have the original Friday the 13th theme song on their Halloween playlist, and that's fine. But there's hours of phenomenal music that this man has created. I think he's one of the unsung heroes of the franchise.
I mean, the movies would not be the movies with different music, or, without Harry Manfredini. I mean, so much of it, and not just the, like, the music absolutely sets the tone. It builds the tension. It's totally.
Well, and how appropriate is it? It's funny because you've got the theme from Psycho, and then the Friday the 13th music, which is admittedly, like, they will straight up say, yes, we told him we want the Psycho music, but we don't want to get sued. But when you think about the parallels between Norman and Jason,
very much,
they're there.
Yeah.
Like, it really does make sense. That thematically the sounds are so similar. So I want this guy to get some appreciation. And I'm not saying he's not appreciated, but like, it really wasn't until I started buying those records from Waxworks that I really realized, man, he created a sonic universe for Jason to live in. And it's really impressive to take it all in. All right, Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. Stop shaving your chest and tell us your third favorite thing.
Gad.
I'm just chilling and drinking and thinking about Jason. I will have to say Alice Cooper, Man Behind the Mask. That's my cool things.
Yes.
The jam. It's always on my list. Halloween playlist. It's a great song.
It's a phenomenal song. Which one is it from?
Is it
4?
I thought it was. Is it from 6? Shit, I guess I should know this.
No, it's not 4. 4. Okay, wait. Because we actually recently discussed.
No, it is from 6.
It is 6. Okay.
Yeah.
So we recently discussed when we did our little drive-by from Popular Kitten. On a recent episode where we were talking about summer songs, our pal Bob Burke brought up Alice Cooper's American. What the heck is the Rock and Roll American, whatever the song is? Alice Cooper has 2 Friday the 13th songs. One of them is like a bad song, but you realize that was almost his intent. But then Man Behind the Mask is like a legit badass horror movie. Add it to your Halloween playlist, Alice Cooper song.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Man Behind the Mask is the jam. I don't know the other one.
I'm trying to remember which what the heck, even though we just talked about this, but I'm getting old and my brain is falling apart, much like Jason Voorhees himself. But yeah, Man Behind the Mask is awesome, and that's the one. When you say Alice Cooper Friday the 13th, I think that's the song most people go to.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%.
You guys,
and I have to give a little side shout out to another great song that's not in the movies, but Friday the 13th by Froggy Fresh, because that was my other pick if I got another one.
Jesus.
Like that call.
wow, I'm really glad you got that in.
I really
feel like
that in.
I feel like this episode just wouldn't have been complete without mentioning that. Wow, when you Google Alice Cooper Friday the 13th, Man Behind the Mask is all that comes up. That other song doesn't even come up. Okay, hang on. Because now I've got to look it up because Bob's going to be mad if we don't get this right.
Yeah, I don't. What the fuck is the other one from? That one doesn't ring the bell at all.
Or rock and roll summer, maybe is what it is. Rock and roll summer. I know there's nothing more entertaining. Hard Rock Summer from Friday the 13th, Part 6.
Oh, he did 2 songs? What?
Well, Hard Rock Summer actually plays during the movie. It's during a driving scene.
Oh, okay.
And it sounds like the most like shitty generic rock song you've ever heard in your life. I recommend that you guys and the listeners go listen to it as soon as this episode is over. I also recommend that you go back and listen to our Hot Summer Jams episode to hear Bob Burke talk about this song. But Man Behind the Mask plays over the credits.
Yeah, that's the one.
Because it's actually about Jason, and you can't play a song about Jason in universe. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So we have Hard Rock Summer, which
is just generic rock song.
I wish I could play this for you guys right now to get some reactions, but we don't have that capability, so we're going to move on. Nicole, we need 13 good things. So you've got to give us a 13th thing to love about Friday the 13th. Wrap it up.
No pressure.
I've got so many.
Well, we only need one.
Crazy Ralph.
Crazy Ralph is good.
Crazy Ralph. I feel like I was going to go with some stuff about part 4 because I love part 4, but I think to close this out, we need to talk about Crazy Ralph, because would it even be a thing if it weren't for Crazy Ralph? If it wasn't for that guy? And again, another trope that they created, the crazy guy warning
the doomsayer.
Yeah, exactly. Which kind of was created. It was kind of created beforehand, but like,
you get out of here, you dead kids.
Yeah, and then he comes back.
Don't go up there. That land is cursed.
Don't go in the marsh.
Yeah, don't go in the marsh.
Yeah, it's got a death curse. His death
curse.
is amazing. You know that he's like garroted.
Well, his death is amazing but disappointing.
Well, yeah.
Because what was his first appearance?
First appearance
was it the first movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so he shows up in the first movie, but then he's not killed until the second movie, right?
Yeah, he's killed in 2. He's killed off camera, but then they flash back to it.
Right.
And he's garroted against a tree with like a piano fire type thing. And then it was one of the ones which in the Shout Factory release, they showed extended cuts of it. So it's hard for my brain now to remember what was
right.
And what was in this extended cut, but it's pretty glorious. I mean, it's pretty brutal. Like he comes behind him and pulls the garrote against him, which pulls him against the tree, and just like, Crazy Ralph is awesome.
I wonder if in retrospect, the people in control of the franchise might have let him live to go on to be the Doomsayer for like all of the movies. I would have liked that.
Man, imagine if he was like in space.
That would have been or one of his no, he's a head in a jar on like spider legs.
I like it.
Oh my god, can we make that movie?
I think so, yes. I'm sure it would be
when the actor died.
I can't raise enough.
It was a long time ago.
I can't raise enough money to support this podcast, but I imagine it would be very easy for us to raise enough money to produce a Friday the 13th film.
Yeah, with spider leg.
With a head in a jar. My gosh, I wish NECA could do a Ralph figure.
I would buy 7 of them.
I'd buy one, but I would like
I would just have the one.
We only really need one.
Just have a shelf dedicated to that figure.
All right, you guys.
He died in 2004.
So he made it a while. He could have been in all the movies.
Could have been in Jason X.
He really could have.
You guys, thank you.
That was a missed opportunity.
We love Friday the 13th to varying degrees and for different reasons, but it is a beloved franchise, and I think deservedly so. It's done a lot of different things over the years. It's reinvented itself over time. And anytime we have this wacky convergence of, hey, it's a Friday the 13th, rather than thinking about the traditional superstition, which is where the franchise got its name, people now think about this franchise that, yes, it's full of gore, it's full of murder and all kinds of horrible things. But I think for the most part, when people think about this franchise, it's with positivity, it's with a sense of fun, it's with love. So now when a Friday the 13th actually happens on the calendar, that's the feeling we get. Like, oh, it's Jason Day. Awesome. Let's celebrate. So I think that's a good thing.
It is.
Yeah.
You guys, before we go, you got to tell us where you are online, what you're up to. I'll say this really quickly before we get to that. If you are going to Dragon Con, you will see 3/4 of this crew in quite a few of the panels that you will be attending. We got stuff on the classics track. We've got stuff on the horror track. We've got a new installment of the Big Damn Game Show. So get that Dragon Con app. Look for Dave West. Add him to your stuff and follow along. And if you're not going to be at Dragon Con, like our pal Arian here, then you'll be able to hear all of the panels that we're on, or most of the panels that we're on, as broadcasts of the Needless Things podcast after Dragon Con. So now, Arian, we'll start with you. We know you like to keep a low profile, not a lot going on, mostly focused on cute dog pictures.
It's true. If you must find me, you can at Such a Lazy Man on Instagram. I currently have it set to private because I'm looking for a new job. And frankly, I other than the pet pictures, I don't need prospective employers seeing all of the radical communist propaganda that I'm posting online these days.
That's fair.
Stuff along the lines of wear a mask and get vaccinated.
And for you listeners, that's an important thing to think about. Employers are 100% looking at your social media.
Oh yeah, no,
that's a thing. That's a fact.
Yeah. I have a secret Twitter that can't be traced to me with it set to public, but other than that, like all of my social media is set to private and it's going to stay that way. If you add me and you want to see pictures of my dumb fucking animals and memes, I'll probably approve you if you don't look like a bot. I don't know, whatever.
Or a cop.
Yeah, no fucking cops.
A cop bot.
Yeah.
Cadavers.
RoboCop I'd probably approve.
Yeah, for sure. You can find me at Dragon Con, partying with these guys and having a good old time.
Woo!
And, that's about all I got to promote right now.
Booze.
Yes.
Booze. Lots of booze. You can find me on Instagram at Battle Cougar. mostly for pictures of Newt, and things that I find amusing that most other people don't. And you can buy our candles at Cadaver Candle Co. On Instagram and pretty much everything else. And if you can't get enough of me, come to fucking Dragon Con and hang out with me and bring me some booze. Although I'm getting old and I'm pretty much going to stick to vodka because if I mix alcohol, I have a hangover for like a week. So bring me only the kind of booze that I want you to bring me.
Yeah, vodka only.
It's valid.
If you come with anything other than vodka, you can fuck off.
Yeah. Or those little seltzers. I do like the White Claws.
Oh, jeez.
I do. They're so tasty.
The claw is the law, bro.
It is.
Although there might be dollops. Ryan just held up some kind of fucking green White Claw.
It's yum.
It's lime.
There will be dollops of Fireball and Jacko Blast.
And now I will take a Jacko Blast straight to the mouth.
Right in the face.
Right in the mouth.
Don't get
Blast still around?
I don't know. It wasn't in 2019.
Yeah.
So we'll see what 2021 has to offer. You guys, thank you so much for coming and talking about Jason Voorhees. We will be back next month with our regularly scheduled Needless Commentary. Should I say? I'll say it. Escape from LA.
Hell yeah.
Cheers.
Later, guys.
Bye.
It occurred to me to be absolutely petrified at the possibility that my microphone problem had occurred while we recorded that, because I hadn't listened back to it yet. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if I plug this audio in and it's got the in the background? Fortunately, it did not, which kind of reaffirms my suspicion that the update and reset from the other day is what jacked up my settings in the first place. Check your settings, people. Check your settings before you record. Number one rule of the Needless Things podcast: always be recording. Number two rule: always check your settings before you record. Although if you're always recording, is there ever a before you record? Anyway, thank you for listening. Please check out the Needless Things podcast Facebook group. Join the conversation over there. We do polls and stuff and ask questions to help me through life. Check out the Needless Things YouTube channel. At least two toy reviews each and every week. You will find the Needless Things podcast there almost every Friday. The first Friday of the month, you will get Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast, not on the YouTube channel, but everywhere else you find your podcasts. And Dragon Con is coming up. I'm not going to share the panels here. We've already talked about the Big Damn Game Show. It's back. It's Friday night. It's 10 p.m. We'll get into more detail on that soon. As a matter of fact, next week, our Dragon Con episodes begin. I have 3 special episodes of the Needless Things podcast focused around Dragon Con, but you can still enjoy them even if you're not going to Dragon Con. I love you guys.
You have been listening to a Needless Things podcast. You can follow Needless Things on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at needlessthingspodcast.com. Love you. Mean it. Uh-huh.